Hello, hello. Did you know that women are not afraid of speaking? They just have an upper limit problem. They don't struggle with speaking, they have struggle with being seen. That's what I mean by upper limit problem. They have a struggle with being seen. Because the truth is, blossoming isn't about becoming more powerful. It's about becoming more available to the power that is already there. The truth is, you don't lose your voice. You abandon it the moment that you start to shine or expand. And today we're talking about why that happens. But before we do, I want to ask you something. When was the last time that you felt yourself expand? And then immediately shrink. Don't overthink it. Just notice. Because I've been noticing a lot. I've been noticing a lot. Welcome home. Welcome to the Coming Home to You Sparkcast, where joy is medicine, healing is sacred, and remembrance is a superpower. This month, we're in blossoming in voice. And before we talk about expression, even before we talk about embodiment, before we talk about intuition, we really, really, really need to talk about the mind. Okay? That monkey mind that we have. Because your voice cannot bloom if your mind keeps shrinking you. That's the truth, my friends, my sisters. There's a concept from Gay Hendricks' book that I've been reading called The Big Leap. And I guess he titles it or he names it as the upper limit problem. And it's simple. It's simple. Like, it's so simple. Like I really encourage you to get the book and read it because it has transformed the way I think about myself and my life. But it's profound. It's profound because we have all an internal thermostat for how much love, success, joy, visibility, and goodness that we are actually allowing in our experience, in our lives. The truth, yeah, you have an internal thermostat for how much love, success, joy, and goodness that you are allowing. Keyword, allowing into your experience before your unconscious awareness or you unconsciously sabotage it. And the truth is, it's not because you're broken. It's that's I just want to always say that. Like I feel like I thought I was broken for so long and it helped me to understand I'm not broken, I'm becoming, first of all. So thank you for being here because you are not broken. And I need to say it again. You are not broken. You're simply expanding because the unfamiliar doesn't feel safe. When things start going too well, your nervous system is going to tell you, this is not familiar. It's not going to be safe. Nope, nope. This is different. I need to stay grounded in my familiar role and how I show up and how I've been showing up for forever. And so your mind is going to step in to contract. Not because you're broken again, right? I just want to read that. You're not broken, but because you were conditioned to associate expansion with danger. That's the core truth right there. So what do you think your thermostat is set at? How much joy feels safe to you? How much visibility feels safe? How much praise feels safe? Do you even allow yourself to hear them because they're not safe? If you had to rate it from 1 to 10, what number are you living at right now? Do you see the mind contracts to protect the familiar hell instead of choosing an unfamiliar heaven? Let me say that again. Did you know that your mind chooses the familiar hell versus choosing an unknown heaven? When I first heard that quote, I was like, whoa, I totally relate. Is that you? Is that you? Because I think the truth is that yeah, we repeat cycles because we feel safe in them because we at least know the outcome. So where in your life are you choosing the familiar discomfort over familiar expansion, unfamiliar expansion? That's the question that I'm asking you right now. Where in your life are you choosing familiar discomfort over unfamiliar expansion? Is it in your career? Is it in your relationships? Is it in your creativity? Maybe it's in your body. Maybe it's in your voice. I just want you to scan without judgment, just scan. And maybe it looks like this, okay? Maybe there's a sudden worry after good news. Maybe it's criticizing yourself after, right after a win, because I'm sure a lot of athletes out there are like, yeah, we won, but I didn't perform well. Maybe it's minimizing your gifts. Maybe it's deflecting compliments. You're like, I'm a shield. They can't penetrate. Maybe it's judging others who are shining and expanding. Did you know that that could be a thing? That you judging other people is an upper limit problem? Maybe it's picking a small fight after having a really beautiful, intimate moment with your loved one, connecting with them, feeling so seen and heard, and then all of a sudden you're like, upper limit problem. Yeah, that's contraction. That's conditioning. That is the upper limit. So which one is your go-to from the ones that I mentioned? If someone followed you around for a week, what pattern would they notice? What pattern would they say that you are? And I'm asking this because sometimes, it's easy for us to excuse and glorify and all these things, but like when we can put our awareness out and asking how other people perceive us, we really can get grounded on our truth, on how we're showing up for them. Because everybody is very clear about how we show up for them. Everybody, including me, is very, very astute at like pointing fingers and saying, nope, 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 it's you. But like, look, there's three fingers pointing back at me. But which one is your go-to? And which one are you willing to let go of? And it's not about shame, it's not about blame. It's really just about you noticing and being honest. Because when you can be honest and notice in a neutral space, that's when awareness kicks in and you go, oh, yeah, and it empowers you to move forward. Because the truth is, like, there's so much crap in the world that can silence our truth or minimize our worth or make us feel less than or not enough. But like, you have control, and that is your upper limit. So don't shame yourself when you're going through this process. And that's what I'm going to ask you to do while you listen to this podcast, okay? So the Sparkcast. So it's not a coincidence that you're here. But the truth is, we need to start with the mind first. We got to get our mind right first before we can do anything else. And the mind wants to restore familiarity because it feels safe there, even if it's hell for us. So what I want to say right now is I want to ask you a few things. So in this moment, I want us to get honest. What happens in your thoughts right after something good happens? When someone compliments your work, what's your first internal response? Do you minimize? Do you joke it away? Do you immediately find a flaw in what they're saying or in yourself? Do you respond when someone acknowledges your gifts? I should say, how do you respond when someone acknowledges your gifts? Do you judge others more when you're about to expand? That is, whew, that's a one. That's a one right there. Because I feel like in my experience, so many people are very judgy. They're so quick to judge others. But the question is like, are you about to expand in that moment? And so your innate programming is to just judge other people to keep you small. And it's not that and I don't think people who judge people think that they're keeping themselves small, right? Because I think that when I hear people judging people, I feels like it's a superiority complex. And at the same time, it's an insecurity. So let that land. And the other question is when someone gives you a compliment and they compliment your work, what's your first internal response in that moment? Do you minimize it? Maybe you joke it away? Do you actually maybe find an immediate like criticism or flaw in what they're telling you? How do you actually respond when someone acknowledges your gifts? Do you judge others more when you're about to expand? And I think I repeated myself. And that's okay because, I'm having a hard day today. I'm having an upper limit problem. I'm having a literal upper limit problem within the last 8 hours. Or I should say overnight, 12 hours, 24 hours, whatever it is. But you know what? I'm here. I'm here. I'm showing up. I'm doing the work. I'm having awareness. So is it possible that when they're expanding, we're afraid because it's projecting the expansion that we're afraid to do ourselves? Because are we afraid to expand in the way that we see the people that we love or admire expanding? So let that sit. Let that sit in your awareness. And then notice the timing. Notice, I think the timing is so key. Timing is so key. Like, there were so many synchronicities if we were open and aware to them. They give us cues and messages. But if you're going to go and live life blind as a passenger and not the driver, you're not going to be aware to these moments of expansion, these messages, these moments where life is saying, hey, you're on the wrong path. You're contracting. You were just expanding. What happened? So expansion and contraction. Then you have justification of why it happened. You justify it. I justify it. I justify it all the time. I'm like, oh my gosh. Oh my God. How many times have I been in a room with leaders and trainers and mentors and fellow sisters and brothers who are in the work, and I have complained and said like, I don't know what it is, but every time, like it's been like consistent all the time. Every time I feel like I'm growing and expanding in my awareness and in my light and in my power and in my healing, like all that stuff, almost immediately, almost immediately, I experience life coming to me to contract me. For example, it would be somebody who would just be like, "Nope, you're broken. You're this and you're that, so you can't get it right." And I was like, "Wow, I didn't even say anything or do anything. You just came to me and started spewing all your venom." And I call it venom, right? Because it feels like that. And I did nothing. I did nothing. I was just sitting here perfectly perfect in my expansion and in my light. And all of a sudden it's like, what? And it feels like a collision, like an unexpected collision. But the truth is, I'm recognizing after reading this book that it's my upper limit problem. And when I can take control and awareness of my upper limit, I can make a change and I can make a difference and I can make something be more empowering, which is amazing because I used to think that I was like the victim of my life, you know? It's like, why is it that every time I have something good happen, like almost immediately it's followed with crap? Almost immediately I'm followed with like people just laying crap on me or making me feel bad about myself. But what I realized, it was my upper limit. And so that gave me power, and that's giving me power, and it takes practice. So, what story do you use to justify your shrinking? Is it, I'm not ready? It's not the right time? I need more training? Maybe that's not good enough? What's yours? Because those were all mine for so many years. And still, there are some that show up for me today, even though I have the awareness. And the truth is, it's not about blame, shame. You're not broken. It's really just about awareness and being neutral and getting curious about like what it is and where you're stopping yourself. And this is why I think this Sparkcast was born, because I kept stopping myself. And I realized I needed to stop blaming other people for my life. I used to outsource my life to the world and be like, why do I not have control in the narrative of my life? Oh, well, shit. Yeah, you keep telling other people and asking them, like, tell me, am I worthy? Tell me, am I good enough? Tell me, should I do this? So blossoming is expansion. Voice is visibility. And if your mind believes visibility equals danger, well, you're gonna sabotage yourself before you even fully speak or arrive at your destination. Because blossoming isn't about becoming louder, even though I want to be loud to be heard and seen and validated. It's really about tolerating being seen without shrinking. I needed to hear that today. Yeah. Did you need to hear that today? What if your voice is already ready, but your mind isn't used to hearing it fully? What version of you are you afraid to become visible? I guess the question is, what version of yourself are you afraid to become visible as? I'm asking myself that right now. One thing I notice is that every episode that I air and that I make is so on in line with a next step for me. And I hope that you can relate with it. So this is why so many women start powerfully and then they shrink. They launch boldly, but then they self-criticize. They are able to receive praise, but then they disappear. And that was me. Is that you? Is that you? Your mind is not your enemy. It's there to protect you. It's a protection system. But protection is not the same as truth. Your protection is not the same as truth. And I want you to let that land right now. Because for so many years, I believed my protection was truth. And I now see that it's not. I have just been in survival mode. Is that you? So here's a simple awareness practice for this week that I would like to invite everybody to participate in. If you want to create what I call your upper limit log for the next 7 days, do this, okay? So write down in your journal, in your wherever you are, like just write it down in your mirror, in your whiteboard, like whatever you have, type it up, print it out, whatever you want. But just have these questions. It's only three. Have these questions out in the open so that you can be constantly in the conversation of why do I experience life when I'm expanding and then shit happens? Shit hits the fan. It always feels like shit hits the fan. I'm having a great relationship and all of a sudden it's not great. I'm loving my new job and then all of a sudden I'm not anymore. And that's your upper limit problem, okay? So I really want um, you to be in your zone of genius, as what Gay Hendricks says. Zone of genius, not your zone of competence or not your zone of excellence, like your zone of genius. And we all have a zone of genius. And these are the steps that it takes to really start to uncover where you are placing limitations in your life. So the first question is, for the next 7 days, I want you to write down or notice, okay? It helps to write it down because it's like a program. When you write it down, it programs your mind and hand, and you can read it back so you can reflect on it. And that's the most powerful thing that you can do is to write it down. But if you're too busy, then just reflect on it, okay? I just urge you to start asking yourself these questions. The first one, notice something good that happened today. Just write it down. Something good that happened today. What was something good that happened today? For example, maybe somebody shared my podcast. Somebody subscribed to my podcast. What's the very next thought that you have? Oh, I hope they shared the podcast that was good, or the one that I didn't feel insecure about, or oh my gosh, why did they share that one? That was not the best episode that I have. Like, just notice. That's contraction. Then the third question to ask yourself is, did that thought made you feel expansive or contracted? Because that is information. Like I love doing these Sparkcasts because I'm grounding myself more in my awareness of how I show up, how I'm showing up every day, and getting curious about like how I am setting the bar. Maybe another example would be, are you willing, maybe the thought is, um, wait, okay, maybe it's like my partner told me that I'm doing good or I'm doing something amazing. And then immediately I was like, well, yeah, well, it's my birthday, so you're gonna say something nice just to make me feel good. That's contraction. So are you willing to treat your contraction like information instead of identity? I used to identify myself with those beliefs, but you can observe them now without making it mean something about your worth. And that's what I want this episode to provide for you, is that it's just information. It has nothing to do with how good you are, or your worth, or like any of that. Because the truth is, awareness is maturity. And when you can make it not mean anything about your worth, well, that's sovereignty. So I'd like everybody who's listening to please consider journaling on these prompts. Journaling and just getting curious, and allowing pen and paper to do the work for you. Sometimes we overanalyze, and sometimes we deflect. But when you write them on paper, you can read them over and over again and read your own words back to you. And sometimes things will click. So I want you to sit with this. When did you learn that shining wasn't safe? When? When did you learn that? Is there a specific moment, a specific age, a specific event that made you feel not safe to shine? The more specific you can get, the better. And then who did you need to stay small for? Who did you need to stay small for? And that one is hitting me hard right now. I felt like I needed to stay small for first my parents, and then my siblings, and then my friends, and then the community. And the only people that saw me, I felt, were like my teachers and the mentors that I had in my life. The next question I want to ask you to journal is, what do you believe will happen if you outgrow them? What do you think will happen? Will you die? Probably not, right? So what would it feel like to receive, just to receive without shrinking? I realized because I was told how I deflected compliments, how I deflected gifts of joy and delight about who I am and all the things that I'm doing great and how they see me as an inspiration. I always deflected it and I didn't even realize I was doing it. I did not realize I was doing it. I would just go straight into the next thing without letting that information land. So that was me shrinking. And I would deflect. I would be like, for instance, in the book, Gay Hendricks talks about like golfing, right? Because golfing is a one-on-one sport. And then you're playing and you're with other people and they're like, "Oh, that was such a great shot." He's like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't make great contact." Or um, like whatever compliment. There's always a compliment and then if you don't take a pause and be like, "Oh my gosh, thank you for saying that." It felt good to do that even though I could improve on my contact. That's when you start to rewire your upper limit problem. So when you ask yourself these questions, let the answer surprise you. There's no shame here. There's just data. And awareness is really going to interrupt the autopilot. And awareness is sovereignty. And sovereignty was last month's topic theme. So I would really love to hear what you uncovered and realize about your own upper limit. So please share in the comments or message me directly because I think it's important to just acknowledge them. I think there is something about acknowledging them, writing them down and sharing them with someone that gives us the freedom to let them go. So I really, really urge you, if you're listening to this, write down what your upper limit issue is and share it. And if you don't feel safe sharing it with us here in the podcast or in the comments or direct messaging me, tell a friend, tell a mentor, write it down in a journal, just get it out. Just get it out. Because once you do that, once you recognize that, it doesn't have power over you anymore. So here's a small mind reset practice that I would like to invite you to do. Ask yourself this. When was the last time you fully received something without qualifying it? Keyword, qualifying it. Was it a compliment? Was it a gift? Was it support? Was it even love? Or do you always return it immediately so that you don't feel indebted? So, I mean, that's a great question. Do you always return it immediately back to them so that you don't feel indebted to them? That's an upper limit problem too. So the next time you're complimented, I invite you to pause, breathe, let it just simply land in your body and say, thank you. I receive. You don't have to say I receive. You could just say thank you. That's nothing else. There's no need to explain. There's no need to shrink. There's no need to redirect that information. Let that compliment just land in your body. That's what's going to rewire your capacity. This week is about awareness. It's about awareness in your mind. Because when we can slow the mind down, we can really allow ourselves to land in our body. And when we can land in our body, we really just go even deeper into our soul's truth, the truth of who we really are. So next week, we're going to talk about what happens in the body when you expand. Because the mind creates the story, that's for sure, right? The monkey mind is like busy coming up with stories and being like, oh, he just said that to be nice. He didn't mean it. They didn't mean it. She didn't actually really, it was condescending. Like we make up all these excuses and reasons of why we're not receiving and deflecting the information and the compliment. Because maybe up until now, your experience has always been it's not safe to be in your joy for longer than XYZ time. I used to always say, I mean, not that I used to, I still do. I say, everything is great when I try a new job or a new company, a multi-level marketing business that I'm trying. Everything is great until something goes wrong and then it's not okay. Because I'm enjoying it, I'm having fun, and then like one little thing will go wrong and I'll be like, I start judging and I start complaining and I start making meaning about it. That's my upper limit. Because in that moment, my energy wants to expand. I feel it in my body, but my mind doesn't understand it. So my mind is like, it's not safe. We don't know what's beyond the veil. We don't know what's beyond this space. We're safe up until here. And so when you want to come here, it's like, no, 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 we don't know that. Come back. No, 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 no. Something bad is going to happen to you. Come back. That's what it means, the upper limit. Like how oftentimes do you feel like you just like it's your birthday or you had an amazing lunch with your a friend of yours and then all of a sudden maybe it was 2 hours, maybe it was 10 minutes, maybe it was like 3 days, whatever your upper limit is, and then all of a sudden crap hits the fan and you're like, there it goes. Yeah, I can never experience joy without shit hitting the fan eventually. That's your upper limit. Yeah, the truth is your mind is going to create a story. It's going to create a story because it thinks it's keeping you safe. And the body is going to really hold that sensation of expansion. And so then it contracts every time your mind says, nope, nope, go back in the box. So if you can hold that expansion without contracting, then your voice is going to rise without trembling, without being afraid. Oh my gosh, your voice is going to rise. So if you didn't shrink this week, what conversation would you finally have with yourself, with others? What offer would you make? What program will you start? What decision will you make? What song would you finally sing or release? What truth will you speak in the world? I really want you to let that vision stretch you and land with you right now. So as we close this call today, I want to say blossoming is not about becoming someone else or someone new or someone better. It's really about just increasing your own capacity to feel good while being seen and tolerating the goodness of who you already are. And your mind is going to test you. It will. It's going to test you. Oh, does it test you? But it actually because it actually believes it's protecting you. That's what it thinks it's doing. It thinks it's protecting you. So I want you to just pause gently. Be persistent. Be loving. Your job is not to fix it or fight it. Your job is simply right now just to notice it. Because that's power, awareness. So would your what would change in your life if you stopped abandoning yourself the moment that you start to shine? What would change in your life if you stopped abandoning yourself the moment that you started to shine? Because awareness is sovereignty, and sovereignty is the soil where your voice blooms. If this episode spoke to you, join us inside the Inner Sisterhood community where we go deeper in reset practices and community, and we feel held and not alone in that community. So the link will be in the show notes. Because the truth is, we grow as we go. So if this story resonated with you, it's not because it's my story. It's because it's a human story. So if you haven't yet, I ask you, please subscribe, follow, comment, and share with a fellow sister or mother or friend who really needs that reminder that she's not alone and that she matters exactly as she is and that she's enough simply for being. Because truth is, we're not broken. We're only becoming. And coming home to you is not a destination, it's a devotion. So, I am Margarita Rose. I am your host on this Coming Home to You Sparkcast. We're talking about blossoming in voice this month. And this week was about the mind. So I hope to see you next week, same time, same Spark channel.